Yes, good morning everyone. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 31st January 2022. Okay, so as it is Monday, we will have some Monday motivation. Yes, good morning. So today's motivational story is story of an elephant and the rope. You may have heard this in your childhood also, motivational story. Okay, so let me tell you first the story and then we will discuss the essence of the story. So, in a village in let's say state of southern India, so the person was traveling into that village and he sees that an elephant, a large elephant is there with the trainer, and that elephant is tied with a small rope made up of cotton and not iron rope. Okay, so he was very much amused with that, let's say, whatever he has seen the picture, that the elephant, which is huge, having the might of, we can say, thousands of people, so that elephant is not breaking that particular, we can say, cotton rope. So he goes to the trainer and asks that why the elephant is not easily breaking that rope and leaving that place. Okay, so the trainer explains that particular situation to the person, and he explains in this manner that when the elephant was small, when the elephant was young, so he was tied with the same rope. Okay, and elephant in childhood had tried to break that rope, but he could not. Okay, but as he grew, he understood that I am not able to break that rope, and then he stops from trying to break that rope. Okay, now that elephant is, we can say, older one, mature one, having the much larger strength, but that elephant is not trying to break that. The essence of this story shows that one should not stop trying just because in the past he has failed or she has failed. Okay, so this is applied to you also. Many of the students may be preparing for this examination for 1, 2, 3 years. Okay, so many attempts have been, let's say, given. The failure is part of life. We should understand this, and especially for this examination. That's why UPSC has given 6 attempts. No. Try to understand why MBA examination CAT only 2 attempts, or other examinations only 1 or 2 attempts are there, and why UPSC has given 6 attempts. Okay, so we should understand that the nature of examination is very complex, dynamic, and we need to also learn from our mistakes, failures, but we should not we should never stop trying. Okay, in life also, whenever we fail at something, achieving our goals, achieving what we decide in our life, so we should not stop from trying further. Okay, so there is always, we can say, second chance, and we should always learn from our mistakes and further try to improve ourselves. Okay, so yes, we can use this story in essay paper also. Nowadays only philosophical topics are being asked. Suppose there is question talking about success and failure. You can give this example, no, in the essay topic. Directly you write such story in one paragraph. Okay, direct relevance is there for those topics. Also you can use in your ethics paper also. Then you apply this story in your own life also. Fine? Okay, so let's see briefly which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the articles. You can see the front page. Pegasus issue to royal budget session. Okay. So here the Congress demands privilege motion against the information technology minister. There are different motions that can be initiated by the ministers and MPs in the parliamentary houses. Okay, so what kind of privilege motion is here, why it can be initiated, against whom it can be initiated, what is the outcome, what is the intention of starting such or initiating that motion, privilege motion, we will briefly know from polity perspective. In prelims examination this can be asked. directly moving to page number 6, editorial page. Okay, so lead article, show commitment to equity in the budget. Okay, article written by Aruna Roy, Nikhil Dey. So they are prominent social workers, social sector activists. They are members of this, we can say, NGO Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangathan. Okay, so they are very much active in Rajasthan, like Jan Suchna portal. Because of their efforts, now we know that the RTI have been enacted because of their efforts only, right? So RTI, social audit, such reforms taken by the government because of the efforts by Aruna Roy, Nikhil Dey. Now this article is having the context of Inequality Kills report. Now those from ED lectures or ED batch, they know that yesterday itself we discussed this Inequality Kills report by Oxfam. Okay, the context of this article is same. In first part, they are talking about the findings of this report. How pandemic has increased the inequality, not only in India but around the world. Okay, and then it also talks about the constitutional mandate to reduce this inequality. And then it talks about what should be done here. Okay, and how budget is important tool of policy making so as to reduce inequality in the country. Okay, so from social justice perspective, GS2 paper, polity and social justice, we will take input. On left hand side, limits of power. Supreme Court serves reminder that the House should work within constitutional parameters. Now again, the context of this article is recently Supreme Court revoked the suspension of 12 BJP MLAs who were suspended by Maharashtra Assembly last year. Okay, so already we have discussed this judgment, but again we will have a revision here from GS2 perspective, polity part. Okay, because we can expect direct question from these topics, so we should be discussing, revising this again and again. Now bottom side you can see Mahatma Gandhi, the out of box thinker. Now yesterday there was 74th death anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, and that's why the article is written. So he is Gandhian thinker, or the we can say specialist. He writes whenever such kind of relevance is there. Now the article not directly relevant to our examination, but indirectly you can take some inputs that how Gandhiji used to have simple life, simple thinking, but out of the box thought process. Okay, always challenge the existing authoritarian government or authoritarian system in the society, and how he tried to establish the egalitarian society or classless society in India. So Gram Swaraj and all these aspects are mentioned there. So just go through this article for your essay preparation. Okay, so it not largely the article relevant, but just for your essay preparation. If suppose for Gandhiji related essay topic is there, then we can take input there. On page number 8, another Brahmos deal in pipeline. Now previous week we have seen that Philippines Marine or Navy has acquired or made deal with Government of India to buy this Brahmos. Now the next let's say deal related to Brahmos can be with Philippines Army. Okay, now Philippines is actively pursuing purchase of India's defense export, or this Brahmos missile, especially the supersonic cruise missile. Okay, so this is good development. Again, we had discussed from security perspective, IR perspective, these developments are important. So we will have revision here. Now on page number 11, you can see the bomb cyclone hits eastern US, triggers transport chaos, outages. Now what is this bombogenesis or bomb cyclone that has been observed? It is also called as winter cyclones or winter hurricanes in that region. Okay, so how it is formed, whether it is tropical cyclone or extratropical cyclone. So all these aspects relevant to our prelims examination. Okay, so we will discuss these articles in detail. Yes, show commitment to the equity in the budget. Yes, these social sector activists they are saying that government should show some kind of commitment towards reducing inequality and welfare policies should be emphasized in the budget. So let's understand, first of all, it is talking about the Inequality Report by Oxfam. Okay, so this Inequality Kills report, the name of the report is Inequality Kills. This report highlights the impact of pandemic in last 1.5 years on increasing inequality throughout the world. Some facts mentioned, for example, around 84% of the Indians' income decline. Around 4.6 crore people fell into poverty. While against this, the number of billionaires increased in India. And the wealth of top 1% doubled in last 1 year. Wealth of bottom 60%, this is for world level, bottom 50%, sorry, is only total 6% of the world's wealth. This is the situation that we are having. You should be mentioning about the situation in India, situation around the world. Yes.
In writing, black color, red color is not visible.
Not visible?
Yes. From next time also.
Okay, we will try. Okay, so Oxfam report suggests that there is increase in, we can say, poverty and increase in inequality throughout the world, and this has resulted into, or the report says that it is not accidental, rather it is institutional. It is saying that it is institutional. How? Simply whatever the policies of the government are there, these policies favor the rich people more as compared to the poor people, and that's why this is resulting into more and more rich poor divide or inequality. That's why it is being said that it is institutional inequality. Okay, the observation made by the, we can say, report. Now second thing we should understand is there is constitutional mandate to reduce inequality. Now, inequality, we know that our preamble talks about reducing inequality or simply ensuring equality. Also our fundamental rights says that there is need of, we can say, political equality, article 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So they talk about equality. Then our DPSPs talks about socio-economic equality. Okay, so how DPSPs ensure, like article 39C, it talks about preventing concentration of wealth in few hands. Okay, and distribution of means of production. So this article talks about socio-economic equality. Also article 38 or article 43, all these are talking about ensuring socio-economic equality in the country, and the government takes from time to time various measures to implement these provisions. DPSPs are fundamental in the governance of the country. Article 36 of the Indian Constitution states like this, and that's why it is the moral obligation on the state to formulate the policies on these provisions, right? So that's why it is very important. Now in recent past or last 1 year, what we have observed is against this DPSPs. For example, health budget has declined by 10% in last 1 year. Also, education budget has declined by 6% in last 1 year. Social security expenditure declined from already low 1.5% in 2021 to 0.6 last year. This is the situation that we are having for social security or social sector. Okay, this shows that the government is having less emphasis on welfare policies and more on economic growth. Okay, so but on the other side, we should understand that in last 1 year during pandemic time, social security schemes have helped the we can say poor people, and the government also emphasized on this. Right, during the first wave, there was focus on allocation of NFSA, National Food Security Act 2013. Also, MG-Narega allocation increased during the first wave when we see reversed migration. Many people, these workers from urban region, they moved back to their native places in rural areas. They started demanding the work under MG-Narega. Demand for work increased, so allocation needs to be increased. Government focused on this. But again, we can see that last year it has decreased. Okay, so at the same time, the NFSA has this problem. In last 11 years, population increased amounting to approximately 10 crore eligible beneficiaries have been kept out. So whatever the identification under NFSA is there, that is from census 2011. After that, there is we can say freezing of these beneficiaries. New beneficiaries are not added, not given priority, and therefore around 10 crore eligible beneficiaries are not receiving benefits from this particular scheme where subsidized food grains are ensured. This is very important for ensuring food security in the country. Okay, despite of having sufficient food grains, buffer stocks with the we can say Food Corporation of India, FCI, still the government is not giving the due to these people. Also, we can talk about social justice when we talk about this impact of pandemic on children. So from time to time we are discussing this impact. Okay, loss of education, malnutrition because midday meal scheme is not running in the Anganwadi, and we can say that everything is closed. Also online education, digital divide, further inequality. Also child labor, child marriage, all these social evils are resulting into, we can say, social injustice there. Rights of the children are denied. Okay, so social justice or social security is very important component, and budget acts as an important policy instrument. In the hand of the government. Okay, throughout year government takes many initiatives here. Okay, but budget is such annual statement or annual, we can say that policy statement which can have significant impact on the social sector. Okay, and that's why the writers are saying that there should be some measures to reduce the inequity and we can say socio-economic inequality in the country. And yes, one of the suggestions what they have said, okay, there is one coalition of NGOs, Jan Sarokar, and it has recommended that 2% of wealth tax, okay, on 1% of top rich people. This is going to be creating sufficient revenue to fund social sector schemes. This was also recommended by this Inequality Kills report, Oxfam report. Yesterday we talked about this. Whatever the revenue is generated, it should go towards social welfare schemes. And how to generate more revenue? By taxing rich people more now, because their income has increased while the income of poor people decline. So there should be some kind of redistribution. Okay. So you can mention in way forward all these aspects here. Fine. Okay, now let's move on to next topic, limits of power.
Sir, I have one doubt on that one.
Yes.
Sir, as per Kautilya administration rule, he want to give the equality to each and everyone by the framing of particular rules in administrative system, sir. If you framing a very strict rules, the administrator can able to give the equality to each and every rights to the people, sir. But if he, most of the present people mindset, if administration is very strict, they will be argue with some of the unnecessary human rights they are going to be arguing, sir. But if the administrator is very strict as well as the ruler is very strict, they will get the chance to give the equality in elimination of poverty and give the food security activity over the country now, sir.
No, see, there is enough flexibility at administration level. Try to understand this. Okay, so that's why it comes the ethical dilemma that civil servants are facing, objectivity versus compassion. The students generally give that example, old lady comes for food grains and not having sufficient documents. So whether that lady should be given food grains or not. So yeah, objectivity, that whether rules should be followed or the compassion should be shown there, or we can say that laws, rules versus conscience. Okay, so yes, the civil servant face that dilemma, but enough flexibility is available with them to innovate at the cutting edge level, bureaucracy level or administration level. But simply we should understand that when the laws or rules does not provide flexibility, right, the inclusion exclusion, the beneficiaries, inclusion of beneficiaries is part of, we can say, central process, no? जो list बनाई जाएगी, that is part of central process, and the district administration is simply implementing that. Okay, so whatever the laws are there or rules are there, they should be made properly. Right. Next, limits of power. Here the context of recent Supreme Court judgment revoking the suspension of 12 BJP MLAs which were suspended by Maharashtra Assembly. Okay, so the background, we know that last year 12 such BJP MLAs were suspended by Maharashtra Assembly over the inappropriate conduct on the floor of Assembly House. Okay, so they were suspended for 1 year. Now this was contested in the Supreme Court, that legality or constitutionality of such kind of 1 year suspension or beyond the period of that particular ongoing session, and the Supreme Court has said that it is irrational and illegal. Okay, so suspension beyond the ongoing session is irrational and illegal. Let's understand what are the arguments. Okay, so simply it has laid down the significant principle that effect of disciplinary action cannot traverse beyond the session in which the cause arose. Okay, up till now there was no established principle. It is not there in the constitution, it is not there in the RPA also. So now the Supreme Court has given this judgment talking about the disciplinary action. So why it is irrational? Irrational in a sense that this disciplinary action, which is to be having some kind of proportionate action. Okay, so whatever the disciplinary action can be taken, that should be taken for 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, or for the period of that session, and that conduct of the business of that particular session should be carried out. Okay, so beyond that there is no, we can say, rational basis for such kind of suspension. Okay, this is the argument. Then we should also understand it is deemed irrational because need to exercise the power was limited to restoring order in the house. So logically it was not needed beyond a day or in case of repeated disorderly conduct to a session so that scheduled business could be completed. Okay, so logically ये होता है ना कि सेशन कंप्लीट होने तक आप ये जो काम हो रहा है या to maintain the order in the house, we can suspend, or the assembly can suspend that particular MLA for that session. Also, this particular let's say 1 year suspension is illegal. Why illegal? Because RPA provisions and constitutional provisions does not provide for that particular seat to be vacant beyond 6 months period. Okay, if the particular constituency is not represented, then it affects the democracy. Okay, so that's why it is provided in the RPA that particular constituency should not remain vacant beyond 6 months. Within 6 months, there should be re-elections. Okay, and now if suppose this position remains vacant, or we can say not represented, not vacant, not represented on the floor of the assembly, so it is worse than the expulsion. This suspension is worse than the expulsion. This is the observation made by the Supreme Court. Okay. Then the state government, although argued vehemently that there was no limit to the action that the House could take for maintaining order, and the court could not examine the proportionality of action. So why let's say state government argued in this manner? Because there is no provision in the constitution. If we are talking about the constitutional provisions, so it is accepted in the constitution that the assembly can take action, disciplinary action. Once it is accepted, the manner in which the action is taken, this is decided by the assembly. This is the argument by the state government in the Supreme Court. But obviously it does not stand the testimony before the arguments of the Supreme Court, or we can say judges here. And this particular ruling is yet another reminder to the legislative bodies that their functioning is subject to the constitutional parameters. And in this particular case, the 6-month time period to, we can say, any constituency, it cannot remain vacant or unrepresented beyond 6 months time period. So democratic values, democratic ideals mentioned in the constitution, they are more important rather than such kind of powers of the legislative bodies to discipline these representatives. Okay. Yes. So from polity perspective, it is important. Also those who are having public administration subject, optional subject. Another Brahmos deal in the pipeline. In last week, we have seen Philippines signed $375 million deal for Brahmos supersonic cruise missile, and to be operated by Philippine Marines. Okay, now Philippine Army is going to buy Brahmos missile from Indian government. Okay, so this is the new development, and also it is important development from security perspective, GS3 paper and GS2 paper IR section. So we know that the South China Sea area or the Southeast Asian countries, there we can say there should be some kind of deterrence against China, and that's why we are helping these countries to strengthen their military capabilities. Okay, and also this is first such export of Brahmos missile, defense export of Brahmos missile. Some of the other countries like Thailand and we can say Indonesia, they are on the advanced stages of negotiation to buy this Brahmos missile. So it shows that India has some kind of preference to, or we can say is focusing on creating the maritime deterrence in South China Sea towards China. Okay, so from that aspect also you should talk about this. Okay, indirectly you should mention this in your answer. Whenever we talk about India-China relations or the China's aggressive stance in South China Sea, okay, so you should mention these recent developments. Okay.
Due to this development, China has been wantedly doing such by the political static. They are going to be occupying some lands near to the territory of India, as well as the world United Nations also is not taking care of anything. They are wantedly displaying that Kashmir belongs to Pakistan and China. It will be politically encouraging the war between the Pakistan, China and India, the wantedly.
Yeah, of course, there is no decisive stand taken by UN Of course, there is this is the problem, and that's why India do not want to go to UN to solve this problem.
Because today they given the open statement, sir. If we want any solution, we are ready to solve that one. When there is no any complication present now, but wantedly they are encouraging. When the war is going between USA and Russia, that day onwards, UNO is wantedly encouraging this issue in between the Pakistan and China and India, sir. When the war has been started between USA and Russia, that time onwards, it's a rising to wantedly encouraging these countries.
Yes. Of course, UN is. We know that there is stronghold of some of the Western developed countries, and yes, UN itself is divided. Okay, we know that UNSC or Permanent 5, it is divided, and Russia, China is one block, US, UK, France, it is another block. Okay, so that is other we can say concern, not relevant here. We'll separately discuss if it is in news. Now, bomb cyclone hits eastern US, triggers transport chaos and outages. Okay, so major cities like New York, Boston, so it is along the eastern coast of US. Okay, eastern coast or northeastern coast of US. So these cities are hit by this bomb cyclone. Let's understand how it is formed. The brunt of blizzard, which the National Weather Service confirmed intensified into bomb cyclone, characterized by the explosive power of rapid drops in the atmospheric pressures. Okay, bomb cyclone, which occurs through the process known as bombogenesis, is basically a winter hurricane. Now we know that hurricanes are tropical cyclones which are originating over the ocean, tropical oceans in Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so Gulf of Florida or Caribbean Sea, that is largely affected. But winter cyclone, we know that ITCZ shifts during the winter to the south, and this region comes under the influence of mid-latitude climate. Okay, so here the air masses, geography students in foundation batch we learned about this. The air masses, the cold air mass and warm air mass, they interact with each other in the mid latitudes around 60, we can say 60 to 65 degree north. So this particular situation is shifting south now to up to 40 or even 35 degree north. And this mixing of air masses is resulting into extratropical cyclones or temperate cyclones. Okay, so the cold air mass from the north and warm air mass from the south, it mixes there, and here what is happening is simply the cold air is moving over the warm ocean waters. Now which particular ocean current is there? Along the eastern coast of US. So we know that there is the Florida current, or simply we can say North Atlantic drift or Gulf current is there. That is warm current. Throughout year the warm current is flowing like this, and from north the cold air mass is coming during this winter time, and the dominance of this cold air mass increases. Suddenly there is drop of the we can say temperature and pressure, and this we can say result into bomb cyclone. Now there is typical characteristic, or we can say parameter, to identify this blizzard as a bomb cyclone. Like it occurs when storm's central barometric pressure drops at least 24 millibars in 24 hours. Then only we call it as or declare it as bomb cyclone. Okay, so we have to understand it is not tropical cyclone, it is mid latitude or extratropical cyclone. Also we should understand it happens during the winter season, bomb cyclones, it is not during the summer season. Okay, so this, and it generally happens due to intermixing of this warm and cold air mass in that region. Okay, so yes, eastern coast of US, there we find such kind of bombogenesis. This is important from geography section. Now, Pegasus issue to Royal Budget Session. So it is talking about the privilege motion. So we will simply take input directly for prelims examination. Privilege motion is concerned with breach of parliamentary privileges by a minister. Now, a minister is supposed to provide the correct facts, true facts on the floor of the parliament. Okay, and when there is no, let's say there is hiding of the truth, or the correct facts are if not mentioned on the floor, then the privilege motion can be started against that minister. Okay, so it is moved by the member of that house when he feels that the minister has committed a breach of privilege of the house or one or more of its members by withholding the facts of the case or by giving wrong or distorting facts. Okay, its purpose is to censure the concerned minister. Okay, its purpose is not, let's say, seeking the we can say resignation of that minister, rather to censure that minister. Okay, so censuring is different and resigning, a compulsion to resign is different. Okay, so censure motion, or we can say privilege motion, does not result into resignation by the minister. Simply we should understand that only no confidence motion, if it is passed in the Lok Sabha, then only Council of Minister resigns. It is against all Council of Minister, not single minister. Okay, but this privilege motion can be against one minister or certain group of minister. There is other term called as other motion, censure motion. Okay, so that censure motion is also against one minister or a group of minister. This purpose is to censure the concerned ministers. Okay, so this is relevant to our prelims examination. Now, what should be answer to this question? Yes, online students, they should be also answering this.
Option B.
Okay, yes, other students.
Sorry, Sorry, it will be depends on site. Tropical cyclone or not, I am not getting confidence on that one. Otherwise, it will be all of them.
See, just now we talked about this bomb cyclone, and it is not tropical cyclone. It is extra tropical cyclone.
Only by the changing of from north to some degrees from 60 to 45 degrees only.
Or temperate cyclone. Tropical cyclones are observed or originate where? Within tropics, 5 to 20 degree north or south, not at the equator, okay, but within the tropics. Yes, but beyond the tropics, extratropical cyclones or temperate cyclone, because of mixture of these air masses. Okay, so this is one of the temperate cyclone, we can say. It occurs when storm's central barometric pressure drops at least 24 millibars. This is correct statement. It can happen when cold air mass collides with warm air mass. Now this is contradictory, no? At least use logic, है ना? तो अगर ये सही है तो ये गलत है. Of course, if air masses are colliding, there will be temperate cyclone, not tropical cyclone. Okay, so if you remember this, then you mark this correct and this incorrect. So 2 and 3, this should be the answer, right? Okay, fine. So any question from your side? Okay, fine. Let's stop.